Okay, we're starting lesson 2. So, in lesson 2, we're talking about statements. Statements. A statement is a sentence. Oh, don't put this. Statement is a sentence that is either true or false. This is geometry. True or false?
True. No, false.
It's pre-AP geometry. False. Tricked you. April. Say hey, April. April is not in this class. April is in this class. True. It's a statement. All of these are called statements. It's either true or false. So when we're talking about statements, they have truth values. Truth value. It's either true or false. The sky is green. False. Don't get technical. Okay, so when we're talking about these sentences, these statements, sometimes we give them nicknames. And their nicknames, most of the time, are P, Q, or add R onto there too. So it's just a nickname that we're giving them. So you see this statement right here. A rectangle is a quadrilateral. Its nickname is P. This is statement P, and it reads, a rectangle is a quadrilateral. What is the truth value of statement P? True. Does a rectangle have 4 sides? Well, then it's a quadrilateral. So the truth value is true. So you see how it's just a nickname sometimes, because we have more than one statement. So if we have more than one and I say read the statement, you don't know which one to read. That's why we give them nicknames. Okay, if we are talking about the negation of a statement, that is the complete opposite. Most of the time, it just means throwing the word not in there. Do you see this symbol? That's the symbol for not P. So this is statement P, and then that symbol, which means the negation of P. So statement P was, a rectangle is a quadrilateral. Okay, well now I want to write the negation of P. The opposite of this is, a rectangle is not quadrilateral. Is a not quadrilateral? You get what I'm saying? Just move that little A over there. A rectangle is not a quadrilateral. Now, do you see how the statement was true, and then we changed the negation and it turned to false? It does that every time. If it's a true statement and we change it to the negation, then it turns false. If it's false and we change it to the negation, then it's true. The negation is always the opposite. Yes?
If it be false, it still be like
If it started false and then you change the negation and then it's true? Yes. Okay, let's keep going. So, one statement is a single statement. Judah is wearing a blue shirt. That is one statement. We can also have what we call compound statements. You've heard of this, right? You've heard of this. Compound statement uses the word and or. Melody is wearing a pinkish shirt, and Ashanti is wearing a black shirt. That's a compound. It's two statements combined with what thing? And or. That time I used and. Okay, so it's a compound statement that uses and or. Now, this helped last period. Where'd I did this last period and it helped. So we have statements. Let's make a little tree. We have statements. From there, write this down. From just a statement, it can either be a single statement or it can be compound. Oh, my nannery. That's supposed to have a D on the end. It can be single or it can be compound. Well, if it's compound, it can either be and or. So this is just its first name. It's a compound statement. But when we break it down to and or, we have another word we have to label it by. And, which is right here, is called conjunction. Conjunction. That means and. So it's a compound statement, but it's a conjunction. That means I know there's two statements in one, and I'm using the word and. Then there is a compound statement that is disjunction. Means it's a compound statement, and I'm using what word? Or. So conjunction, disjunction, and or. Okay, we also will have a lot of symbols this chapter. So this is the symbol for and. Here's how I remember it. Capital A looks like this, right? Well, that looks like the top of a capital A. So that's how I remember that this is the and symbol. And if it's going down, then that means or. How I remember or, if it's like this, you can have multiple things fit in. Apples and bananas. But if it's tilted up, you can't have two or more. That might not help you. This might help you. The top, y'all see it? Like the top of an A looks like the carrot. That's how I remember it. So here's your symbols. Remember, P and Q are just statements. So we read these symbols as P and Q. Here's the thing, though, when you're talking about a conjunction. This is Thompson High School, and today is Wednesday. Was the first one true? Yes. Was the second one true? So together, it's true. If you have and, both of them have to be true to be true. They both have to be true to be true. If it's true and false, guess what that is? False. Today is Wednesday, and tomorrow is Friday. The first one was true, but the second one's false. So overall, it's false. Disjunction is different. You only have to have one to be true. So true or false is true. Cupcakes are good, or they make you skinny. Overall, is it true or false? Well, it depends on you. If you don't like cupcakes, then you're like, false. Okay? So it only takes one to make true for or. If it was true or true, though, that's still true. Because you only have to have at least one. Alright, so let's put all this knowledge to work. First of all, here's our example. How many statements do we have right here? 3. What are the names of these statements? P, Q, and R. What is the statement we're writing? P and Q. How do you write that in symbols? P and Q. Let's go through each of these statements and determine the truth value first. 1 foot is 14 inches. September has 30 days. True. I know my calendar says otherwise, but I didn't have anywhere else to put the index card, so it's up there. A plane is defined by 3 non-collinear points. Well, sometimes false, sometimes true. Because a plane is defined by 3 points, right? But they don't necessarily have to be on the same line. But let's say true, because it is defined by 3 points. points. If you want to mark that out, you can. Huh? Say what? Toss? Oh. Let's just mark out non-collinear to make it a little bit more clear. A plane is defined by 3 points. Okay, so now let's write this statement. So are we even using R? No. So let's write P. 1 foot is 14 inches. And September has 30 days. What I like to do is I like to write the truth statements or the truth values underneath it. This one was false. This is your symbol for and. September has 30 days is true. Well, for it to be true with an and statement, they both have to be true. So overall, the statement is, so the truth value overall is false. To the back, to the back. Everybody turn your pages to the back. You listened to that song last night? Okay, now, same thing. Same thing, even the same statements. However, do you see this negation in front of P? Okay, so let's go ahead and write what the negation of P is. Well, if P is 1 foot is 14 inches, the negation of P is 1 foot is not 14 inches. Well, the original P statement was true or false? Was false, so guess what it is now? True. We already said September has 30 days is true. This is also true. So now, let's write our statement. We're writing not P. So you're writing this one. 1 foot is not 14 inches. Are we using and or? And, because it's going up. And a plane is defined by 3 points. Well, not P. What was the value of not P? So it was true. What was R? True. So true and true equals overall true. Try the next one. Disjunction. What's disjunction mean? Or. Do you want to go ahead and tell the truth values? P, true or false? How many of y'all are in chemistry right now? Is Q true or false? True, right? I'm not good at it either. 9 is a prime number. True or false? False. 3 and 3 make 9. Okay, now let's write the statement. Do I get true? Okay, I want you to do the next. You do A and B. You do A and B.
For A, you write disjunction.
What does it say? But look at this. Okay, did y'all get that A was false for the first one? June is the 6th month of a year, and a turtle is a bird. We had the conversation last period. It was a very serious conversation. If you're a bird, then I'm a bird. And if you don't know what movie I'm talking about, then it's sad. If you're a bird, I'm a bird. Do you not know what movie I'm talking about? Y'all know, seriously, no one in here knows what movie I'm talking about? The Notebook? If you're a bird, I'm a bird. And then we had the conversation of how I need to put in a request to watch the Notebook in here because it talked about birds and logic is about birds.
I think we should put in.
What? Oh, never mind. Just kidding. I would never. We don't watch movies in math. Silly kids. Movies are for history. Okay, good. So, next, we have these things called truth tables. Oh, I'm sorry. It was false. I mean true. 6 is an even number, which is true. Or a triangle has 3 sides. True or true equals true. Okay, truth tables. These truth tables make it a lot easier to tell the truth values when you have a lot of statements. So I know this is just a review, but we have 3 truth tables here that I want to go over. P is the original statement. So P is true or it's false. Well, the negation of true is false, and the negation of false is true. It's just the complete opposite. For conjunction, is that and or? And. They both have to be true, which is why there's only one true. True and true is true. True and false is false. False and true is still false. False and false is still false. When you are setting up these truth tables, these first two columns are always the same. And here's why. We are trying to think of every way where the true and false statements of P and Q can be aligned. So there's two ways. P can be true or P can be false. Do you agree? There's no false, as Ashanti said. You can't be true and false. You can only be true or false. That's it. So P can be true or false. Well, when you put it right beside Q, they can either both be true or one can be false. So Q is false. Or P can be false and this can be true, or they can both be false. That's the only way to set it up. So as you see, these first two columns are the same in both of these truth tables. The only difference is that this is or. Now you see 3 true statements over here. Why? Because it only has to take one to be true. Are y'all following me? Okay. What? Y'all good?
Yes.
Okay, let's make some truth tables. Here we go. So you are going to start your own truth table. This is how it starts. Here they use P and Q. So if this is our example, we're going to use P and R. But it's going to look the same way as this one almost, or this one because it's an or. So let's set it up. You have your first title row, as I call it. You're titling your table. So you have P, you have R separately, and then together you have P or R. Okay, well remember, P always starts as it's either true, true, false, false. How I remember this is 2 trues, 2 false, and then the second one you flip them every time. True, false, true, false. It's the same as these. We're starting off the same way. Okay, so now let's tell the truth values for the compound statement P or R. True or true. What is that?
True.
True or false. False or true. False or false.
False.
Y'all see how I did that? Okay. Let's do it again. But this time we're using not P and Q. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add another column. Add another column. So I'm going to go to a different piece of paper because I write big. So we're going to have our original column P. And then I'm going to go ahead and still put Q right here, because those are the 2 original statements I'm talking about. The 2 original statements. You have P, you have Q. However, then you have not P, and then you have not P or Q. You see how I did that? So that we start off with our 2 original statements, P, Q. However, then we have to talk about not P, the negation of P, so it has its own column. And then the whole statement has its own column. So make 4 rows. Remember, the first 2 always stay the same. How do I write P? What is it? True, true, false, false. What's Q? True, false, true, false. Now, what happens, guys, if I accidentally put false, true, false, true? It's the same scenario, right? It's still the same. It just swaps. Okay, now let's put the negation of P. P was true. Now it's... So I'm not looking at this middle one. True, P was true, so now it's false. It was false, and now it's true. It was false, and now it's true. Okay, so now we're to our final statement. I'm not looking at this one at all. I'm done with this column. We're looking at not P or Q. Does it matter that these two aren't in the order as it's listed right here? It doesn't matter. How many do I have to be true for or? 1. So this is true. This is false. This is true. This is true. Is anybody on the truth table bandwagon yet? Does anybody like truth tables?
I mean, they're easy.
Yeah.
They're easy, but
You don't like writing them?
drawing, yeah.
Okay, now let's do 6. I know it's kind of cut off, so let's make it Q. Q and not R. So what are your two original statements? Thank you. Q and R. And then you have the negation of R. And then you have your whole thing. Try it. Check your answer on the board. Yes.
How do you figure out which one has like true, false, false?
Say that again.
How do you know which one's like true, false, and then
It doesn't matter.
okay. I got the same answer, just like I did.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. Okay, I just passed out some practice. Look at these. Okay, these are a little bit more complex than what we just did. So I want to do 7 with you, and then I'll release you to practice. So you can do this on this paper if you want. I don't recommend that. I recommend getting out your own piece of paper. Or on the back. Yeah, you can do that on the back. So you have it up here, so if you need to flip to the back, you can write it there. Okay, here's the thing. How many original statements do we have? How many statements do we have? So we have Q, we have P, and we have not Q. So that's technically 3 statements because Q and not Q are not the same thing. So we have 1, 2, 3 statements. So let's write those. I have Q, I have P, and I have not Q. I would always advise you to put Q and P first because these two are the columns that matter the most. From there, you're just filling it out. We're on number 7 on the practice, Cesar. Okay, so we have Q, we have P, and we have not Q. Well then, after we filled all that out, we want to see what's just in the parentheses. So I'm going to put P and not Q here. So I did just the statements. We did the negation of Q. Then we did the statement in the parentheses. And then we're going to do the overall statement. Whew, getting a little complex, aren't we? It's okay. Life is still good. Yes. You're here. A hurricane didn't flood your house. Life is good. Okay. So, our first two columns say the exact same. True, true, false, false. True, false, true, false. Now let's do the negation of Q. The opposite of true is false. The opposite of false is true. Okay, so now let's look at just what was in the parentheses. So we're looking at P, which is this column, and not Q. So we're looking at these two. And the conjunction is and, so they both have to be true. True and false is false. False and false is false. True and true is true. False and true is false. So now we did the parentheses. Well, now we're talking about Q or all of this that was in the parentheses. So basically we just did all of this that we need, like all of this or Q. That's what we need to look at. True or false is true. True or false. True or false or true. False or false. Okay, I'm going to leave this up here. On your practice that I handed out, I just did 7 with you. So I want you to do 1 through 8, but you've already done 7. So really it's 1 through 6 and then 8. On 1 through 4, you're just writing the statements. 5, 6, and 8, you're doing a truth table. First thing I would do, though, is I would determine the truth value of P, Q, and R. Is 60 seconds equal to 1 minute? Yep. Are y'all looking at Q? Think about it. Okay, well, let's talk about this. Supplementary means there has to be 2 angles that equal what? 180. 2 angles that have to equal 180. But the thing about 1 and 2 is that they're also congruent. There's only one way for angle 1 and angle 2 to equal 180 if they're the same thing, and that's for them to be 90. So is the statement true or false? Negative 12 plus 11 is equal to what? Is negative 1 less than negative 1? No, they're equal. So what's the truth value? Good.